Clive wrote the harmonies to the melody. He had the skills to do that. And after quite a few weeks, we had quite a presentable choir. And this made a big difference to the entertainment of the boys and their morale.
Wow,
and it gave us an extra interest to occupy ourselves with. So that was very beneficial.
Yes. John, the name Byrne seems to conjure up something to me. Was there someone named Byrne amongst your group up there?
It was Johnny Byrne.
John Byrne, yes, yeah.
Yes, he was very close, slept a couple of bed spaces away from me, and we went to the same firm in Yoshihara for several months. So I got to know John very well. I found him a very interesting person. He's very well educated, and he spoke very well too. Yes, I sort of secretly admired John because to me he seemed such an intelligent person.
Yes.
Quite out of place in the POW camp.
Everyone was. Now, how did you handle interpreting, or did you have any interpreters in the camp?
Yes, there was a fellow there named Hobbit. He was an American, actually. There was a handful of Americans there besides the several dozen British. The Americans had been rescued from the ships that had sunk, and this Hobbit was there. He could speak Japanese, and he was the camp interpreter. So he used to come round with the inspecting Japanese officers that took roll call, and he would do the interpreting. And on parade, Hobbit was his name.
But when he wasn't around, did you handle something towards being able to speak Japanese or communicate somehow with the Japanese?
Yeah, well, we should learn quite a bit of Japanese.
Yes.
Basic language.
Yeah.
For instance, when we got to Kobe, we had to do all the words of command in the Japanese language. So we had to turn around and from day one to learn the Japanese word for attention, sanity, right dress, right front, to number, all those. So, and the count, we had to count in Japanese. So, within a very short time, we became quite adept at making ourselves understood. And of course, working with Japanese people out in the firm, that also helped us. We learned more the Japanese language. Not that we were fluent, but we could make ourselves understood. You know?
Yes, yes.
If you're hungry or thirsty or tired.
Taksan Benjo.
That's right, that's right. Yeah, the toilet was a very essential word. Yeah, so we very quickly made ourselves understood.
Yes. The were there any inspections of the huts by the Japs or even the Allied commanders to make sure that people are maintaining their hygiene and health and hygiene standards?
Well, virtually there wasn't. It was just each section of about 35 people would have an officer in command, and then virtually like our own rank, officer, senior NCO, and he would make sure that virtually there wasn't much to keep clean. See, it was just a flat platform with tatami matting.
Sure.
The bedding was, blankets were folded up neatly every day. So the place, and then we had little straw mats we swept, but you never walked on the mats with your shoes on, you see. And that was, we simply became used to that, because that would have created havoc with the straw. So we very adapted very quickly, so that at all times our bed spaces were kept clean, tidy. There was there's no hygiene problem.
And were there many deaths in Kobe camp?
Very few, very few. We were in, say, pretty good health. I think only about one or two a year. Very few people died. We had our own sort of RAP, and as I said before, anyone who was seriously ill was taken out to a civilian hospital. But now we had pretty good health on the whole.
Yes. Did you receive any Red Cross parcels?
Oh, we got bits and pieces from time to time. Yeah, I'd have to check up on my diary. But I think it was only once we received a full Red Cross parcel, only on one occasion, and just bits and pieces.
Now, what about when the American Air Force started to bomb on mainland Japan? Do you remember that starting?
Yes, very much so, because you get the air raid sirens, and we got used to the sequence of sirens, and when the short blast sounded, it was that the planes were approaching. But apart from that too, we were able to get copies of the English language Japanese newspaper, the Militia, every day, day by day. And they gave an account, albeit very briefly, of the various Japanese cities that had been bombed. But thankfully, the Americans came over and bombed a youth incendiary. Well, they realised that in those years the Japanese buildings were very fragile. There's no brick and mortar, very little of that, mostly wood, straw buildings. So obviously incendiaries did the job that the high explosives couldn't do. But we are in no danger really. If a raid took place while we were at work, we had split trenches to get into. So in Kobe House, we eventually burnt out from there, but with incendiaries, we all escaped when eventually the Kobe House caught fire. There was no difficulty in escaping out to an adjoining sports ground.
Yes, yeah. There was a time when you were shifted to another camp.
Yes, that's right.
What year was that?
That was, I think it's early in 45. I'm not sure, I'd have to check my diary. When Kobe House was burnt, we were marched up into the hills.
Yes.
To Camp Maru, it was called. We were there, I think it was early 45. I guess I'd have to check with my diary now. I've got it all written down. It's when the big raid was on Kobe, when half the city went up in flames, and that was the big, beginning of the end.
You're at the new camp now.
And then, after